All right, so today we're going to talk about a name you might not know, but you absolutely should. Richard B. Moore. He was a truly central figure in 20th century Black radicalism, a civil rights advocate, a communist organizer, and a real champion for self-determination who shaped the conversation in Harlem for more than 50 years.
But who was this guy really? Well, for starters, he was a major player in the American Communist Party, which back in the early 20th century was a huge force for change. And his work didn't stop at America's borders. He was also a passionate advocate for the independence of his home region, the Caribbean, and he took that fight to the world stage, all the way to the United Nations.
And maybe, most fascinating of all, he declared an all-out war on a single, powerful word. He believed that the real path to freedom starts with having the power to name yourself.
So let's back up and start at the beginning. Richard B. Moore, he was born in Barbados back in 1893, and he made his way to New York City in 1909. He started out as a factory worker, but he quickly became one of Harlem's most electrifying speakers, a completely self-educated intellectual right in the thick of the Harlem Renaissance.
Now, what's so compelling about Moore's early activism is how he wove together two powerful ideas, Black nationalism and communist organizing. For him, the fight for racial justice and the fight for class liberation were one and the same. You couldn't separate them. In 1919, he joined the African Blood Brotherhood. And let me tell you, this was not a debate club. This was a secret organization that straight up advocated for armed self-defense against lynchings and race riots. This was way before he formally joined the Communist Party, and it just shows you how committed he was to radical action from the get-go.
And here's where we see him put those ideas into action in a big way. He became a leading organizer for the International Labor Defense, the ILD, and that role made him a national voice in one of the most notorious legal cases of the entire era.
I mean, his efforts were just relentless. He was constantly crisscrossing the country, organizing these massive protests, and using that incredible voice of his to build an international campaign to free the 9 Black teenagers who were falsely accused of rape in Alabama. His work was absolutely essential in turning that case into a global symbol of racial injustice.
But, this unwavering focus on Black liberation, it eventually put him on a collision course with the very party he helped to build. The priorities of international communism started to shift. But Richard B. Moore's priorities? They didn't budge.
And just listen to the language they used. Petty bourgeois nationalism. I mean, that's what the Communist Party accused him of. And why? Because he insisted on keeping Black issues on the front burner, and he refused to let them get sidelined by the party's ever-changing political strategies.
So, he gets expelled in 1942. But for him, it wasn't a crisis. It was a pivot. He immediately threw all that energy into Pan-Africanism. He founded the West Indies National Council and even went to the founding UN conference to campaign for the freedom of people in the Caribbean, Africa, and Asia. No downtime for him.
So this break from the party, it led him to what many people think is his most profound contribution. This was a battle fought not on the streets, but in books and in people's minds. It was a battle over identity itself. And this was his core belief, right here. So powerful. For Moore, real liberation wasn't just about changing laws. It was about reclaiming that fundamental power to define yourself, to write your own history, and to claim your own humanity. He lays this all out in his 1960 book, The Name Negro, Its Origin and Evil Use. He literally traces the word's origins right back to the slave trade. He argued it was a word designed to strip people of their heritage, to brand them as property. So what was the solution? He proposed adopting a name like Afro-American, something that connected people back to a land, to a history, to a culture.
And to help people reclaim that history, Moore, who is a huge book lover, ran the Frederick Douglass Book Center in Harlem. It became this incredible hub for radical Black literature. And get this, he personally collected over 15,000 books and pamphlets, all documenting the Black experience from all over the world. Incredible. So in the end, this intellectual warrior, this historian without portfolio, as he was called, created a legacy built on preserving knowledge. He made sure that the stories he fought so hard to reclaim would be there for future generations.
After he passed away in 1978, his amazing library collection found its final home. It went back to where his whole journey started, his home country of Barbados, at the University of the West Indies. The Caribbean awayman, as he was known, had finally come home.
And we're not just talking about any old library.
The Richard B. Moore collection is now recognized by UNESCO on its Memory of the World Register. That basically means it's considered a treasure of international importance, a powerful, lasting testament to his lifelong fight for human rights. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought, one that brings more struggle right into our lives today. He spent his entire life on this idea, that defining yourself is the first true act of freedom. So it's worth asking ourselves, right? In a world that's so full of labels, who do you say you are?